everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is MTG Ghoul Dude. Today I wanted to give y'all one of the little pet decks I've been working on, trying to tweak it here and there. And with the new sets coming out, I figured why not go on ahead and show it off a little bit, because we might be getting some more later on. Traxos, Scourge of Kroog, Phyrexian Tribal. Now I know Traxos himself isn't Phyrexian, and we do have plenty of other Phyrexian creatures that could be a Phyrexian tribal commander, but I wanted to be different and build a colorless Phyrexian tribal deck. So, a little bit about Traxos. He is a 4-mana, 7/7 legendary artifact creature construct with trample, and he enters the battlefield tapped, doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Traxos. Artifact spells are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas, or historic. So, how are we going to get Traxos out there? Well, let's get into the mana ramp first off. Starting off with Ever-Flowing Chalice, everyone's favorite Soul Ring, a Chromatic Sphere for ramp, a little bit of colored ramp and card draw, Mind Stone, Moon Silver Key, which is kind of integral for something I want to tell y'all about later on, Prismatic Lens, Thought Vessel. Semblance Anvil isn't ramp necessarily, but it does help speed up if you can get a good artifact or artifact creature underneath it. Pristine Talisman for a little bit of life gain also. Skyclave Relic helps a bunch whenever you're in the later games and you need a little bit more mana, and Traxos costs a lot more. Unstable Obelisk also slots in as removal. And Hedron Archive and Dreamstone Hedron are also mana ramp and card draw when you need them. So, these next couple of cards are going to be cards that I've put in the deck to either help Traxos or help infect creatures get through, which some Phyrexian creatures actually have infect, so that was a slight side effect of building this deck. It happens. Commander's Plate, Blackblade Reforged, Prowler's Helm, Swiftfoot Boots, Trailblazer's Boots, Whisper Silk Cloak, Darksteel Plate. Nettle Cyst is a big one for a deck like this because it's nothing but artifacts. Cauldron Complete, because guess what? Cauldron was completed, so it is Phyrexian. Key to the City to help get a easier way if your equipment aren't coming through the right way. Mirage Mirror can just be the best thing on the battlefield. Clark Clan Ironworks. I actually had a playset of Clark Clan Ironworks for when I was playing Modern. I was building a black-red KCI deck that I was trying to homebrew, and then KCI got banned. So they found their homes in other places like Traxos. And Mystic Forge. I can't ring the praise of Mystic Forge enough because of how good it is actually in this deck. So, let's get into the creatures, and we have quite a few, well, not a lot, just a few, but they're kind of heavy hitters in their own right. Starting off with Eckerclaw Mirror, coming in with the Infect. Mirror Convert, which also has Toxic and a mana ability. Mirror Sire, and if you don't see Phyrexian on there, they have been eroded to Phyrexian, and that's why they're in the deck. Makes another dude. Phyrexian Revoker. Plague Mirror for a little bit of its own ramp. Oh. Perilous Mirror. Soulless Jailer. Steel Overseer. Traxos Skitterfang, which actually does help with trying to help get Traxos through to do his thing. Now, once we run out of oil counters, we don't have a way to put any more back on there. Chief of the Foundry to buff our creatures. Foundry Inspector to help get the artifacts out cheaper. Palladium Mirror. Phyrexian Digester comes in with a little bit of an infect as a 2/1 for 3. Shimmer Mirror, so we have Flash. Corpse Cur to return any infect creatures we have in our graveyard to our hand. Joyous Familiar, another one of those reducers. Pierce Strider for a little bit of life loss. Argentum Masticore. Now this one, still haven't played it in a deck yet, but I'm excited to see what it does, because it has its own quirks a little bit here and there, and because you do have to discard a card, and we don't have a lot of just bring back from the graveyard effects in this deck. So I'm excited to see how this turns out, and I had to adjust the focus a little bit so that it's more readable. Phyrexian Juggernaut with the infect. Soul of New Phyrexia. Phyrexian Triniform, so we can get more back later and do it again. And to round it off, Michael's Synth Golem. Your artifact creature spells have affinity for artifacts. Just remember, it's for artifact creatures, not artifacts. Just artifacts. Because I had that problem in the first game I was trying to play test. I was like, oh, all my artifacts are free. Nope, they're just it's only the creatures. We do have one Planeswalker in the deck, and it does serve a couple purposes. Ugin the Ineffable. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Exile +1. Exile top card of your library face down. And look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit token. When it leaves the battlefield, put that card exiled into your hand. And -3 is just destroy target permanent that's one or more colors. And I'm still having problems with this focus. Gotta get to that happy median. I guess it's just coming and going, I guess. We'll do what we gotta do. Continuing on to the card advantage, we have Introduction to Prophecy. Canoptic Spider. This one comes in clutch. We don't have a lot of creatures, but when we start running them through with that Mystic Forge and that Michael Synth Golem, it starts getting pretty crazy. Lore Seeker Stone. I might be the only one that runs Lore Seeker Stone, but it's a whole lot easier to do when you have a lot of mana rocks. And this deck is all about that. And Sandstone Oracle. If you just happen to have less cards than your opponent, you get to draw equal to the difference. Now onto the removal. The removal in this deck is more broad range. It's not selective, like Oblivion Stone, Nevin Nero's Disc. And then we get into our targeted removal with Introduction to Annihilation. All is Dust in the broad range. Kind of missed that one. Meteor Golem, and for protection, Not of This World. If you notice, Traxos is 7 power. So this is a free counterspell or ability for free, as long as you control Traxos. Now there are 4 cards that I left out because they actually produce a combination of a possibility of a win in this deck. That combination is Basalt Monolith, Forsaken Monument. Forsaken Monument allows it to tap for an additional colorless, therefore allowing you to untap and still have an extra colorless floating. And with that, you can funnel it either into a Staff of Domination, where you can draw your whole library, tap all your opponent's creatures so you can swing and win, or you can just funnel it all into a Golem Artisan. This one, I seen it. I thought it was very interesting because I didn't see it being played a lot, but when you have an infinite amount of mana and you can funnel it into that first ability, target artifact creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn, an infinite amount of times on an infect creature and on Traxos, and then you can give it flying, trample, and haste. That's pretty good in my opinion. So, if you're sleeping on Golem Artisan in your artifact decks, think again. And now that comes to our non-basic lands, which we're in colorless, so we got to kind of run a lot of them. But the utility lands like Scavenger Grounds, Mystifying Maze, lands like Darksteel Citadel, Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, Temple of the False God, Bonder's Enclave for a little bit of card draw, Commander's Beacon whenever Traxos gets a little expensive. War Room is just tap 3, draw a card, because Traxos has no color identity, pretty much. Stalking Stones, Ruins of Oran-Reef, if you just want to put a counter on Traxos later on, or whatever. Rogue's Passage to help that unblockability. Ark of Araska for a little bit of card draw. Guildless Commons, even though it comes in tapped, it still helps you later on. A French Ghost Quarter. Don't know how I came across this, but here it is in this deck. Reliquary Tower, in case we decide we're in a game where somebody just wants to draw us a lot of cards. Crystal Vein. Roadside Reliquary. And we have the 4 Urza lands that I have. The Urza's Mine, the Urza's Power Plant, the Urza's Factory, and the Urza's Tower. And here we get into some of the nicer lands in the deck. I actually ordered this one. If you watch my order videos, I ordered this Mishra's Factory to go in this deck. A Treasure Vault, and that is actually a foiled Treasure Vault. I don't know if y'all can tell. And then this Showcase Urza Saga, because, you know, a free mana rock at the end of it is not that bad. And then to fill out the rest of the deck, I did choose Waste, but I did decide to choose that particular art. I just think it smooths and runs with the deck. But that's going to be it for today. I really appreciate everybody, all my subscribers, everybody that likes, shares, and comments on the videos. If you have any suggestions for this deck, I know I could probably deal with a Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, and all that good stuff, Grim Monolith. Budget's kind of tight on those though. But any other comments, any other suggestions for the deck would be appreciated. But that's going to be it for today. I really appreciate it, everybody. Once again, I can't say it enough. And that's, yep. I will see you guys next time in the graveyard.